hang on. Let me get that there. Let me get that there. Hi and good afternoon, and welcome to a post-season THFC Till I Die Newsbeat show with Tottenham past, present, and a very confusing future. And joining me on this latest edition of our summer Newsbeat shows is Mia from Spurs Between the Lines, which is being shown directly on there as well. So good afternoon, Mia. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's bank holiday over here as well in the UK.
Ours is next weekend. So there you go. We're only a week apart, Mia. But Mia, let's start with this bit of breaking news that we got this morning. And I was told it's gone across the bottom. It's been gone the bottom of the screen. Being told that Harry Kane will have a meeting with his agents and Daniel Levy this Wednesday, where he may officially request to leave Tottenham Hotspur. Look, Mia, this is on every season, this and every summer, every transfer window. Is Harry gonna leave? Is Harry gonna stay? Where do you think he's leaning towards this summer?
Oh, do you know what? It's so hard to be honest with you. It's like he hasn't obviously committed himself, and the only way I can see him leaving is if he puts a transfer request in. Because I think if he doesn't, Levy will just keep him. I think that is going to be what's going to happen.
Mhm.
So I can't see him leaving unless he does put this transfer request. And has he got it in him to do that? Because that could somewhat turn some fans against him, not necessarily against him, but they might not favour him or see him in a favourable light because other people have said he's loyal, and is that really showing loyalty? Or I don't know, but people could not see it in a good way. So is he going to do that?
Yeah. Look, for me, Harry Kane is our Jimmy Greaves. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Harry Kane is our Jimmy Greaves, and I was looking at a stat earlier, Mia. Between 2014 and 15, only in 2 seasons has he scored below 20 goals. I mean, this season, I was speaking to Dave earlier. Dave made a very good point that Harry Kane this season alone has got us 27 points. If you take them 27 points off our total now, we're above we're above relegation.
Yes,
Now,
but this is all ifs and buts. Someone else might have come in and someone else might be here to score those goals. So that whole thing is so hyperbolic. Like, you can't say that's definitely going to be the facts, because the fact is we don't know. If we got another player in for that money, if we sold Kane and got that money, we don't know who would have been in.
there will be a drop off, Mia. If
There
you
will
know,
be a drop off, but they're not going to be this significant thing where we would have been near to relegation. It's very like over the top to say that, and
well,
unrealistic in my
but if you
opinion.
know, well, it is a fact. If you take the 27 points off,
It's a fact. If Kane wasn't here, we'd be playing with one less man. So
no,
obviously, if we had another
yeah,
man in there, that'd
yeah.
be.
But the point I'm making here is the fact that if you do take the 27 points off our total, we would be down there. But that's how much he means to us. That's how much Harry Kane's 24 points this season have meant to us. But anyway, but we've got more other things to talk about bar Harry Kane anyway. We're going to go over the Leeds match.
I understand your point, but I think it's such a nonsensical argument when you don't know who could have been in and scoring other goals. Like, that's just like, it's an argument people use for in the plus of Harry Kane, but there's other arguments you can use to say about Harry Kane. You know, there's other things you could say.
I get you. I understand what you're saying, but look, we're going to get more into that in a minute because we're doing other things. Also, with Pochettino being announced as Chelsea manager today, we're going to look at the Chelsea managers of the past who have come managed both clubs. We're going to talk about the European thing as well, where Tottenham will not get into Europe if Man City win the Champions League. And very, very quickly, we will go over the Leeds game. I've got the team there. I'll get me and Mia's play reactions or player ratings for the last game of the season. And then, of course, we're going to talk about Harry Kane, his records, his time at Spurs, and what will the future bring if he does leave. Who do you want to come in and replace Harry Kane as our number 10? Because we will need a striker. Anyway, Mia, before we get going, I want to say big up to Action from Wembley 1. It says, afternoon, everyone. Kane's comments yesterday would seem to indicate he's leaning towards leaving, and without a DOF and the manager, we are completely rudderless ship with little to entice him to stay. Well, we did break it on Saturday that Nagelsmann could be announced between the mid to the end of next week. Now, these talks are still ongoing. I haven't heard anything today, so it's all very cloak and dagger. But we have to wait and see. And there's another point to this as well, Mia, which we'll get to in a minute. Nagelsmann, would this deal now go off the rails? Because if Harry does want to leave, will Nagelsmann want to come? But we'll get into that in a minute. We've got Jazz Fusion in loving memory. You read this one out, Mia, because I'm struggling with some of the words. So can you read this one for me?
I'm on mute. In loving memorial to the fallen, thank you for your sacrifice. R.I.P. Love you, Dad, and miss you.
Well, look, our condolences and sympathies to you, Jazz Fusion. Look, if there's anything we can do, just get in touch with myself and Mia. We're both on WhatsApp. We're both on contact details on the channel. But anything we can do, and really, truly, it is right to remember the people that have fallen. Mia, look,
absolutely.
I'm Irish. You are English. So, do you know what I mean? Do you want to say a little something about that? A little quickly about something that
yeah, of course. Like many have fallen, and it is obviously devastating. I can't imagine how people feel, but there's always support out there, people who you can talk to about these things. So make sure that you do talk about it if you wish to do so. If you just need someone just to chat to about things, then we are always here. There's plenty of people in the community that are supportive.
Yeah, so we're all here. So big up Jazz Fusion. And again, our condolences and our sympathies are with you at this sad time. We've got Tyler, Kulu, and Kane looking like they're leaving. It just keeps getting worse and worse. We are going to get into the Kulu stuff as well. We've got Tequila, Bada, Big Boom. I love that. Big up Tequila. And he says it again twice. Bada, Big Bada Boom. And he's saying hi to you, Mia.
Hi, Tequila.
And then he says, big up everyone. Tired. Thank God the end of the season. I know we said that yesterday, didn't we, Mia? We're absolutely delighted. Wayne Bonner, big up Wayne. A member. Well, he was a member. He's not now, but hopefully he will.
No, he is. It's just because he's on my channel. That's why.
He's on your channel. I get you now. Okay, big up Wayne Bonner, who's a member of ours as well. So if you do want to join the membership, it's linked up at the top. So please do so. It is only $2.99. It's cheaper chips. And if you want to get a super chat in and get ahead of the curve, ask me or Mia a question, please do so. It does help the channel. And pick up your patrons on Mia's channel. They help her grow as well. It says, hi to all. If this is true, then I don't blame him. He's ambitious, but he shouldn't ask for a move. He should demand it if the club won't match his ambitions. Mia, look, this is my point of view. I can understand the argument about matching ambitions, right? Because we haven't rarely backed managers fully. But do you think Harry Kane wants to leave? Do you know, we had the Nuno Man City thing where he wanted to leave, but say for Real Madrid come call him, it'd be very hard to turn down a club like Real Madrid, wouldn't it?
Extremely difficult. I don't think any player would turn down Madrid, if I'm honest. I think that it's just crazy to think that wouldn't happen. It's just crazy to think he wouldn't turn it down. And with the ambition, I think he does want to leave because he wanted to leave for Man City. It was clear that he wanted to leave back then. So,
but you look at David Beckham, won leagues, won Champions Leagues as well. United still went to Madrid. So, look, it's going to be a tough decision, but it's going to be an interesting summer for sure. Big up Wayne Bonner, though, and great to see you in the chat. We've got NS Sports TV, Chelsea fan, big up. And
that's Nippin. I know Nippin from Twitter. So
I suppose you should say congratulations on getting Pochettino. But we will go through the Chelsea manager thing. So stick around. We're going to go into that. That should be good. And he says, big up Merton and Mia. I think he meant Dermot, but
that's okay.
Yeah, I know. Big up, sir. And his thoughts on Kane potentially going to Real Madrid. And talk about Kane going on to Real Madrid. We've just been I swear to God, this fella. Let me know if he's ready to come in. Thumbs up. Give me thumbs up. Yeah. I swear
you say Kane's name 3 times and he appears.
Dave Harris appears, yeah. You say Harry Kane, Harry Kane, Harry Kane. And here's the legend himself, Mr. David Harris. Dave, how are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm actually relieved the season's over, to be honest with you, Dermot. I know I said it yesterday, but when I woke up today, just a sense of relief, the weight lifted off the shoulders. I mean, it's the worst season in a long, long time. It's it's just been bad. So I'm feeling good. Hopefully, we can go and have a good summer. You never know at this club. Let's wait and see what it entails. But as of today, I feel good that the season's over. To be quite honest.
And do you want to answer this question from NS Sports TV's thoughts on Kane potentially going to Real Madrid?
Look, Real Madrid come calling, you go. I don't know any player that's ever turned down Real Madrid. Yeah. You alluded to it, Dermo, that, even Beckham in his prime at Man United went to Real Madrid. It's just one of them clubs, unfortunately, you don't turn down if you get the opportunity to go.
You don't, Dave, but no, big up and thank you for joining us. We've got Tyler in the chat. Big up, Tyler. He says, Richarlison would have been our striker. He'd be lucky to get 10 to 15 goals. That we're going to get into that. I think he's been a flop completely. Beyond 72 goals conceded are relegation numbers. That's true. Wayne Bonner said, if Kane leaves, he leaves. We move on. And that's the point, guys, isn't it? I'll start with you and this, Mia, then I go to you, Dave. We've had big players leave before. Jimmy Greaves, Gary Lineker, Glenn Hoddle. All big players have left Tottenham. We still moved on as a club. We've still carried on. There's been a drop-off, but we've rebuilt and come back again. So do you agree with Wayne Bonner? If Kane leaves, he leaves. We move on.
Yeah, absolutely. No player is bigger than the club.
Yeah, and Dave, on you and this, do you know, with Wayne Bonner's question here, but do you think Kane has too much power at Tottenham, or do you think that's just a nonsense argument?
No, I don't think he's got too much power. Look, he's the best player at Tottenham HOTSPUR right now. That's just the nuts and the bolts of it. Look, I've never made the argument that Spurs won't move on without Harry Kane. They will move on as a football club. But I just think where we're at right now, and this is just my own personal opinion, I think, regardless whether he signs or not, you've got to keep him next year. You've got to keep him next year, and you've got to improve other areas of your squad behind you first, so that when he does leave, you're sort of set up for him to leave rather than, letting him go this summer. And I get the money argument, right? I get it. But for me, it doesn't make sense to add to our problems. We've got to get a good, stable backline and a good, stable midfield before we can let someone like Harry Kane go. Because the reality is there is going to be a drop-off. Now, how much of a drop-off, I don't think anyone will truly know until it happens. But we will see a natural drop-off. And for me, it's just about why add to our problems right now when we've got so many.
But what if, Dave, is true? What we found out today is that he actually is going to push for a move, because we can't hold him hostage, right? You can't hold a player hostage.
I hear what you're saying. If we can do something a bit like what we done with Luka Modric, where Luka Modric wanted out to Chelsea, and we said, no, give us another year, and we got that best year out of Luka Modric. If we can do that with Harry Kane, I'd take it. I do hear what you're saying, but there are examples of players that we've done this to before, where we've kept them for another season, and they've given us their all, and before they've moved on.
But maybe Conte's season was his last season. Maybe that was that season for him in his head. You know what I'm saying? We don't know, obviously, what he's thinking.
I hear you on that. I do hear you on that. Look, for me, when I listened to the quotes yesterday that he said on the BT interview, he never really gave clarification that he was staying. He never even gave a hint, which to me sort of feels like he's going to wait and see what happens this summer. He's going to wait and see who comes in, what clubs offer what money and stuff like that. That's my personal feeling of Harry Kane's quotes. But for me, I think I think he would give it his all for one more season if we kept him here. I hear what people are saying. If he doesn't want to be here, he doesn't want to be here. But for me, I just think we should use him next season for our benefit, and then look to go on without him. But it's important that we use this season to get a stable defence and a stable midfield, because once Harry Kane goes, if you stop conceding goals, you're always in the game. And then you might have one, you've got Son there, you've got Kulu, who might be able to get in and get you that match winner. But if we don't get a proper backline in place this summer, or even a competent midfield, then all of a sudden you're not scoring goals. You carry a bit less of a threat than maybe what you would, but then you're also leaking goals. So for me, it's about stabilizing everything behind him, and then you're in a position to let him leave.
Yeah, I agree with you. Look, for me and Wilton McDonald says here, I totally agree. We want to leave, but then so be it. Rebuilding starts from there. And I think we will be better, hopefully, in the not too distant future. Dave, you're right. We have to start at the back. every decent team has a solid defence, and this is where we need to concentrate. And if Kane does so go to Madrid, say for 100 and say over 100 million, that money can be used in buying a couple of good centre backs. Don't forget, we've got Destiny coming back. We've got not Roden. What's his name? The one we bought for Nottingham Forest. Spence. We've got them two coming back. We've got Reggie coming back as a backup. If we get a couple of good defenders, get cover for Longley and Romero, get two more in, and a new goalkeeper, we've got a solid defence and a goalkeeper for next season. We're always going to score goals. With the players we've got up front, it's the back line we need to sort out. So do you think that's where we should be focusing this season? I'll start with you on that, Dave.
No, let me go first on this one.
Yeah, go on with me.
Sorry, what was the question? I just switched off for 2 seconds there.
I was trying to be a gentleman here and everything.
Sorry, Dave. You're trying to be the gentleman. Like, it's not like you either to not take up the space of wanting to talk.
I'm trying
Dave.
to be more aware, Mia. I'm trying to be more aware.
Basically, Mia, the question they asked was, do you know? I even don't know what the bloody question was.
See,
the defence. The defence.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course, we need to fix the defence. Yeah. Everybody knows that. That's just like Stevie Wonder can see that.
If we were to sell Kane, though, that would be money we can use to fix the defence, because we've got Destiny and the other one coming back as fullbacks. We've got Reggie coming back. Get another two centre backs in the cover for Longley and Romero, and a new goalkeeper. We would have a solid back line then for next season, surely, because we can always score goals.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that getting the midfield and the back line sorted is so important. And yeah, if Kane leaves, I'd rather get the money for him than not get the money for him. But it's about balancing out what's more important, to keep him for that year or to get the money and to rebuild with that money. So it's obviously a balancing act on what the club think is more important. But if Kane wants to go, I want him gone. I don't want nobody at my club who don't want to be here.
And Dave, is it important, he's got a year left in his contract, that we don't fall into the same trap with who should not be named back in the early 2000s? Do you think Daniel Levy would learn lessons from that?
Look, we're not really in a position, really, Dermot. It's all in Harry Kane's hands. You know, he either doesn't sign the contract and he gets his move this summer, or at the end of next season when his contract is up, or he signs and commits. The club, all the club can do is just offer him a renewal. They can't make him stay. There's nothing they can really do. You know, they can even go to him with all the grandiose plans. We're going to hire this guy. We're going to bring in this guy, that guy, and everything else. But literally all depends whether Harry Kane wants to stick around and go through yet another rebuild, because, you know, this is a guy that's been promised this, that, and the other for the last few years, and we've sort of failed to deliver on that. Look, just on the argument of the back line and maybe selling Kane to improve other areas, we had this sort of discussion on Sava's show yesterday, but it was more centered around Højbjerg. And for me, you know, I come up with the same conclusion. If you're selling Harry Kane to improve your back line and your midfield, you're cutting off your face to spite your nose, sort of thing. For me, I'm not buying that from this club. I was told in January that they'll be getting 2 centre backs this summer. So that means they should have the money there for that and not need to sell a Harry Kane to be able to fund that. Plus, there's other players around this club who do nothing for this football club, or who don't have the same impact on a game of football for this football club, that you can sell and cash in on, you know, to be able to improve them other areas.
Yeah, that's so.
What I was going to say was that it just adds to the pot, because at the end of the day, next season he's going to go and we're going to get absolutely nothing for him. So then we can't have that extra money available. So this year we could have that extra money available to then get more areas sorted, as well as the back line, and get someone else in and start afresh. If he doesn't want to be here, that is. If he does not want to be here, that's what my caveat of that is.
What I'd ask you on that, me, is that if we are to cash in on Kane, should that money not be used for the creative side of our team, like perhaps a Cam, another striker, maybe, you know, and actually fill them areas of the team, rather than use Harry Kane to fill the back line?
No, I didn't mean it's going to use just for the back line. The extra money can help. Like, what we're going to do is hopefully improve the back line, and that money can help with the whole round improvement of the team overall with that extra money, is what I would say.
Yeah. Because for me, if we were to go and cash in on Kane this summer, I think that money has to be spent on a creative player that has a similar passing range to Harry Kane, but also, another striker to be able to compete with Richarlison. That for me, even someone better than Richarlison, for me, that's where that money has to be spent. Because if you're taking them goals out of the team and you're cashing in on it, you have to replace them. And for me, that's where ideally that money would be spent if you're going to sell them.
Well, look, we may have another twist on this because Kane now saying that he may put the request in. But as we broke it on Saturday, Julian Nagelsmann, who we think will be announced as manager between the mid to the end of next week, we're still waiting on confirmation for that. I'm still waiting for more news. If that comes, I'll break to you straight away. But he says Julian is also now more comfortable taking the Spurs job because of Harry Kane was going to stay, that Levy would block potential transfers, Dave. So if Kane does go, does that mean Nagelsmann might not come to Spurs and then we're back to square one again, scrambling around looking for a new manager?
Look, Dermo, if I was any manager looking at the Tottenham job, it's a different job taking over the job with Harry Kane and without Harry Kane. Without Harry Kane, it's an even bigger job. Not only do you have to fix the backline in the midfield, you have to replace his creativity, hold-up play, and his goals. If you have Harry Kane, then your focus becomes more on that backline, more on that midfield, and you can work with that, knowing that your forward players that you've got up there, Kane, Son, Kulu, whoever, will bag you the goals. It's just about putting the platform in behind them, that solid foundation. So that's I stay this way back when we were looking at other managers. It's like it's a different job for a manager with Harry Kane than it is without Harry Kane. It becomes a much larger problem and a much larger job without Harry Kane.
And Mia, look, is Harry Kane the key to Nagelsmann coming? If he does leave, then who do we go for? Because we've been scrambling around looking for a new manager if Nagelsmann doesn't want to come because Harry's leaving.
I don't know who else we're going to really go for. It's so hard because there's been so many names connected. And if we get Brendan Rodgers, I swear, man, this club, if we get Brendan Rodgers, I swear, I'm going to be pulling my hair out, seriously. But if we get a Potter, I'm not exactly going to get too upset about it. Like, it's not the worst of the worst that we could get. But Julian Nagelsmann did lose Lewandowski when he went to Bayern. True. So I don't know if it is that important to him or if he would be able to cope, because he did cope without Lewandowski. So I don't know, My brother brought that point to me and I was like, that's actually very true. So I think that if he is basing it all around Kane, I feel like that Kane should have maybe made it a bit clearer before, because maybe that would have made it a bit better, because we could then approach managers saying exactly we'd know a bit more. But it is what it is. And I think it is going to be difficult to find a manager regardless, I think. And we've not known what Harry Kane is doing. That's what makes it difficult. Yeah. The unknown, like we don't know what he's doing.
I hear you on the Nagelsmann, going in there without Lewandowski, but I think it's important to highlight he's got Kimmich, he's got Goretzka, he's got like bunch of the best defenders in the world to work with, some of the best midfielders in the world to work with. So he only really has one job on his hand, which is, finding a way of replacing Lewandowski's goals. At Tottenham, that job is completely different. He's got to get a new goalkeeper, new defence. Some people are looking for new midfielders. Plus, if Harry Kane goes, then you're also looking for a striker. So it becomes a completely different job to the one that he was accepting at Bayern Munich, because he was walking into Bayern Munich with some of the best players across the world in every position.
Yeah.
I do get that.
Yeah, look, that is true. But Bayern Munich, just quickly on that, Tuchel could be sacked. I did find this bit of a news story today.
That's mad.
And it's absolutely mental, right? Tuchel could be tipped to make a shock exit from Bayern Munich days after winning the Bundesliga. And Bayern Munich, while all the members were on the pitch with their T-shirts on and everything, they sacked the entire board.
Yeah.
So that shows a club that, right, it doesn't work. This is the 11th successive time they've won the Bundesliga in a row, and they sacked the board. So that's can you imagine us? Yeah, go on, Dave.
There's been a lot of problems at Bayern though the last few years, Dermo. Coming out of the COVID pandemic, they had to change their strategy in terms of players that were bringing in, because they were looking at more young players with a lot of talent and looking for Nagelsmann to work with some of them, like a Gravenberch or Mazraoui, people like that who they were bringing in, because the COVID pandemic really restricted them financially. So, what they then identified as Nagelsmann as the guy to come in and sort of get these young guys in the team. Well, he never done that with Gravenberch. He never done that with Mazraoui. He sort of stick with what was already there. And then they've sacked him. They've brought in Thomas Tuchel, who didn't really do much better at Bayern Munich either. Let's be honest. He was lucky that Dortmund screwed up the final day of the season. And at Bayern Munich, I think they're in a bit of a period there, where they don't know exactly what they want to be. Do they want to be a team dining at the top table of Europe, or do they want to transition into a team but dictated by their finances, where they have to start going after young players? When you look at Oli Khan and Salihamidzic, or whatever you call them, they've sort of cocked that up.
They really have. But look, I thought it was an interesting story anyway, just to bring up, and I thought it was a funny one as well.
Madness.
It is madness.
It's
and
mad.
I just want Frickly Tottenham Forever, become a YouTube member. Big up, Brian. Thank you so much indeed. Really do appreciate it. Now, guys, stay on the Harry Kane, the Harry Kane subject here. I actually found some of his stats. Now, these, I was saying to you earlier, wasn't I, Dave? These are just mind-blowing. They're mind-boggling, right? Now, his courses are all-time club goal-scoring record, 267. He's now at 280. He scored the most headed goals in the Premier League season, 10. He's the first player to score a century of home and away goals, 101 at home now and 112 away. And then going on, he scored the most different games scored during the single Premier League season, 26. Most goals scored on St. Stephen's Day or Boxing Day in the UK in the Premier League, 11. And the most goals scored on the Premier League final day, 11. Before I come to Dave, who is Harry Kane's biggest fan, I'll start with you, Mia. They're mind-boggling stats, aren't they, to be fair?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, you can't deny what an absolutely amazing player it is. Like, I think anybody who tries to deny it, they're just absolutely ridiculous to say that. And the amount of disrespect that guy gets is bad. Like, he gets disrespected as an England player, gets disrespected as a Tottenham player, and I just don't get it, to be honest, because if it was for any other club, I feel like that he would get praised so much more, so much more.
Yeah, Dave, there's some stats, aren't they, read? And don't forget, this is a man that came through our ranks, and he went out on loan to Norwich, I think, and a few other places.
Leicester. He went to loads of different lows, didn't he?
You look at Haaland and you put Harry Kane and Haaland next to me. I am sorry, Harry Kane's way above Haaland with his overall stats and how he plays.
Do you know what? It's just he's an all-round player where Haaland is just a goal machine. That's the difference. He's intelligent. Like, Harry Kane's footballing IQ is massive. Like, he's so intelligent with the way that he plays. I think that's the difference.
Yeah.
And there we go, Dave. Harry's 11 final days goals. That's just unreal.
Yeah, look, he's been an unbelievable servant to the Spurs jersey, Dermo. Bar that little period in and around Nuno, he's been an absolute wonderful servant to this jersey, regardless of the manager, bar Nuno. He's pulled it together. You've got other players who haven't really been feeling it under multiple managers. He's sort of always given his all, and regardless of the shit, he's always sort of stood up. And, from a guy where no one predicted this career was going to happen, to making the very most out of it, is the biggest compliment I can give him. And this is a guy that, I know Harry Kane got his first goal under Harry Redknapp against Shamrock Rovers, but he was given the opportunity under Pochettino, and I liken it to a similar time where we're at now, where we have a massive rebuild to uphold. Like, Pochettino, for his first 3 months, stick with tried and trusted players. But then they just weren't doing it. They weren't representing the jersey with pride. And he started bringing in Harry Kane and playing him instead of Adebayor. And Harry Kane just, took it and ran with it. And ever since then, he's been unbelievable. Like, none of us could have predicted what career he's gone on to have. And then I just think it's a shame that we've never won anything under, with him at this club. And I'm not going to sit here and blame it all on the club. I think there are periods of Harry Kane's career at Tottenham where you can blame the club. But the reality is, under Pochettino, Dermo, he did have chances to win trophies. And, for one reason or another, he hasn't, you know. And then the last 4 years, I sort of blame the club because they haven't put anyone in a position to win trophies. So it's a bit of both, but I think everyone will agree. It's just sad that this guy walks away, our best ever goal scorer for this football club, but he's going to be England's #1 goal scorer as well. He's going to break that record, and he hasn't a trophy to his name.
And I'll tell you one thing, this one at the bottom, first player to score a century of home and away goals. That's just mind-blowing. I
think
call
he's
him
the first player to reach 30 goals in 2 different Premier League seasons as well.
Yeah, it is. I call him our Jimmy Greaves, Mia. He really is our Jimmy Greaves, isn't he, to be fair?
Yeah, no, listen, like people get it a bit wrong when I speak about Kane because I think that I would be like disrespectful towards him because I really ain't. Like, I really respect the guy. I like that he's professionalism as well. Like off the field, he's a very, very professional guy. And I've got a lot of respect with his behaviour, the way he is as well as a person. He's very much a family man. And, you know, I'm a very family person myself. So I respect him a lot. And what he does on the pitch, like I say, he's so intelligent. He's an absolute superstar of a player. Like, honestly, he is a superstar of a player. I'm not ever going to deny that at all. Never would I.
What do you reckon, guys? Haaland is a one-trick pony, a not marker Andy Carroll. What do you reckon?
No, I think he's a brilliant player. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anyone can score that many goals and not be a brilliant player. Let's be honest. Let's be fair in our judgment. But like I say, he's not all-rounded like what Harry Kane is. Harry's a very unique player, very, very unique in what he does.
And would you take this deal here from Matthew, Dave, would you? 80 million and Benzema.
No. You're only, look, Benzema in La Liga and in the Champions League, don't get me wrong, I think Benzema's an absolute fantastic player and has been for quite some time. But, you know, it's a different story for a 30-odd-year-old coming into the Premier League, which is the fastest league in the world. It's relentless. It's unforgiving. You know, and for me, it's only, you know, if you're going to sell Harry Kane, it's got to be a long-term solution. You know, it can't just be one season and then you go again, and you go again. It's got to be a guy like Haaland, in and around Haaland's age, that Tottenham identify, that they know can bring 20-plus goals a season and get him in here.
Wembley One's got a question for you here, Mia. It says, Mia, please tell me why Potter is supposedly so much better than Rodgers, who has won silverware recently, got Liverpool to within the eighth of a Premier League title, also done very well up in Celtic. I know the argument up in Scotland, there's only 2 teams up there, and there's only Celtic and Rangers, but you still got to beat what's in front of you up there.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Rangers weren't in the Premier League when he was there, though, right?
No, it's true, but you still got to beat what's in front of you.
Yeah, you've still got. Like when you look at his like record late, like what he's done at Leicester, they've gone through a bit of a bad patch, and I get that. But do you know what? It isn't just that with him. He just gives me bad vibes. So when Poch he came in and unified us. He gelled us as the players and the fans. And I just don't think Rodgers is like that. There's something about him that I think is very cold. I just don't get that vibe from him, and I just don't think he's going to do what he needs, which is to gel us all back together, and that's why I wouldn't take him.
On Rodgers, right, I think he'll come in, he'll be a stable hand, but I think Rodgers has a lifeline. I think a Rodgers 2-3 years max, then things go completely stale. We've seen that at Liverpool, we've seen that at Leicester, and at Leicester he didn't exactly make the shrewdest of decisions.
No.
At the back end of last season, before it was even over, he made it known in the press, in interviews, I think he gave one to TalkSport, that he wanted certain players out. Now, when the summer comes around, the owner can't deliver them them players. They're cash-strapped. They don't have it. So he's told Rodgers, you have to work with what we've got. Now, Rodgers made some big calls and got them wrong, and that's why Leicester relegated. He took Jamie Vardy out of the team, massive personality in the dressing room. He sold Kasper Schmeichel, massive personality and leader in the dressing room. He didn't get on with James Maddison this season whatsoever. You know, people that have massive control of that Leicester dressing room. And, you know, he didn't exactly make calculated moves. And, you know, as much as, you know, they led to, you can say the players let Leicester down, his decisions also led to that downfall. Yeah. He had a dressing room that were fighting together, that won and won an FA Cup and stuff like that, you know, and then all of a sudden it completely capitulates because of a lot of the decisions he made. He shouldn't have made them decisions if he knew that the owners didn't have the money to replace them.
Do you know, in
Yeah.
my view, sorry, Mia, go on, let you want to get in, so I'll
Yeah.
take my view after you. Go on.
Yeah, I was going to say what David Clark says is his toxic personality. And I think I think the way that you are as a manager is a really big part of managing a team now. You can't
Nowadays,
just, yeah, it really is. So I honestly cannot see him suiting us at all with that.
Look, I would, out of the two, I would go for Rodgers over Potter, and I'll tell you why. Rodgers has won stuff. He knows what it is to get a team over the line. If you like him or don't like him, Davey's right. 2 or 3 years at a club, and then it all goes to shit. We all say that. Sorry, all goes to the dogs. So Davey's right in that, but he's got the experience of winning stuff. He's a manager that's got teams over the line. Potter hasn't.
But we
Potter
don't
went
need someone that wins stuff because we're not in that place at the moment. That's what you got to understand, Domo. We're not in that place. So we don't want to have a manager who's going to be here for 3 years but be destructive and not get us anywhere and not build us. We need a Poch who's going to build us and build a family feeling.
We had that family feeling, but it didn't win us anything. I go back to Birkinshaw when he took over. Took him 3 seasons to get us, and he was successful. And
but if Rodgers goes after 3 seasons because he messes it up, we're not going to have won anything. We're just going to be back in a mess again. That's not what we want. We want someone who's going to be here and actually make it so people can carry on the next thing if they don't do anything.
So that argument then is, what's the last 4 years been like, and why did we sack Poch in the first place?
Right. So I always say with Poch, he didn't win us any games for 10 months away. He was at that point where I think he did need to go personally. But what we should have done is carried on. But because we got so close to winning, the owners thought we'd get so close that we can get someone to get us over the line. And then we took on Nuno, which was wrong. And then they wanted to fix that and got Conte because he thought that's a big signing. Again, a winning manager. And now we've gone so far away from what we had with Poch and winning. We need to get back to that. And that's going to take time. And Rodgers isn't that man to do it.
I would also argue that with Pochettino, to be fair to the guy, I don't think it's highlighted enough. You know, the cash was sort of restricted at Tottenham at the time. They were buying up properties all around White Hart Lane to be able to, okay, they were doing it for 20 years, but they also had to put a lot of money into building the stadium and the training complex and everything else. So outside of Pochettino's actual first 11, the players that were coming off the bench when we got injured and players that were stepping in, they weren't at the same level. And you've seen that drop off. And that was the biggest problem. If you even had 3 or 4 players on the bench that were near or similar to the level of the players that they were coming in to replace, we would have won something. We would have.
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't disagree with you in that sense, Dave. But what I'm trying to say is that I'm not saying I want either Rodgers or Potter, but out of the two, I would absolutely not want Rodgers anywhere near because I think he's toxic, and I think that it would not do the club that's actually in a real disastrous place at the moment any good to have someone like him.
Look, we need a manager. And Nagelsmann for me is probably the best fit for us. He's 35 years old. He's a young manager. He's been successful and he knows how to build a young side. We need to get back to the Poch model, if you know what I mean. A young, hungry Tottenham side that will play for the fans and play for the club. These players that we've had for the last 4 years do not play for the shirt. Dave, you've said it. I've said it. Mia has said it on more than one occasion this season. We have been let down again and again. So we need whoever comes in, they will get my support. But I want things sorted out very, very quickly.
That's the biggest thing, though, Dermo. We can all sit here and say we want this guy, we want that guy.
Yeah.
But the club have to allow him to offload what he needs to offload, regardless whether fans agree with it or not. In order for a manager to really sort this mess out, you have to let him have full grip on that. This is my system. This is the way I play. This player can't do it for this reason, whether it's technical reasons, whether he doesn't have the concentration, whether he doesn't have the right pace. It does not matter. Get him gone and bring in players that this manager can work with in order to bring us to a new era. I will still maintain, even under Jose Mourinho and Conte, if you were to bring in 78 million pound players that they like bringing in, like they have everywhere else, they would have won something at Tottenham. Yeah. It's not so much the appointments of the managers; it's how you follow through on that appointment.
Yeah, it is. And Mia, look, if Dave is right, if he's on this point, if we brought in the players these managers wanted, we could have been more successful. But is it down to the club as well as the players that once they've got into these finals and semi-finals, one thing and another, we've messed it up. So you can't really blame the managers. The managers can only do so much. These players have to take responsibility, don't they, Mia?
Yeah, the players do, but who coaches them? Who instructs them on how to play? A manager does. So when Poch chose Kane in the final for the Champions League, that was a huge mistake. And that's on Poch. And that is on Poch. And he could have cost us the Champions League. You never, ever know what might have been. We might have still lost. But the fact is that's his decision, right? So it's everywhere. The blame has to go to the manager and to the players and to the owners. I've always said that it's a bit of everybody. I'll never not blame the players, but I do think the manager has to take responsibility on some senses. He played Sonia's left wing back, didn't he? Like left up higher on the pitch when we were playing against, was it Chelsea? We're against Chelsea.
Yeah, and then that Cup final,
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So every manager does do these things, and you're just like, what are you doing? And they could cost us the game. So it's obviously on the managers too to make those decisions.
The thing is, though, Mia, would you agree, right? For instance, like if I was to give you 3 bricks and I said, build me a house, knowing that the house takes 10 bricks to build, you're going to start second guess what you already know. So say if this is what you know, and I say, right, this is what you have to work with. You're constantly second guessing yourself, or constantly trying to second guess to try and get, everyone to fit the way you manage and stuff like that. And my thing is if you're going to bring in a guy for what he's done at other clubs, you give him the tools to make his life easier to implement that at your club, rather than making him second guess at every turn or every corner.
Absolutely. I do agree. But the point is that everybody does this in hindsight, Dave. So what people do, they judge it and say he wasn't backed in hindsight. They say Conte wasn't backed completely, but in hindsight. In the centre-backs he wanted didn't want to come to Tottenham. You can't make players come to you if they don't want to. And then if we would have got anybody else, they would have said, oh, he wasn't backed because he got his third or second choice. So you can't have it both ways. That's the problem. But I do agree with you fundamentally that obviously fundamentally, if you're going to get that kind of manager in, you have to do the right things, right? Absolutely, to support that. That's the problem.
For me, I never make the arguments that these managers aren't backed. They're backed to a certain degree. They're initially backed. But it's when the times get tough, it's what decisions do you make? Do you put that blame on the manager and sack him, or do you continue to stick through that initial tough spell and go again? And we, over the last 4 years, have decided to stack rather than sort of stick through that spell and go again. And that's my problem. It's more to continue and back another manager, knowing that there's a lot of problems to be solved, rather than just putting it all on the manager. When they're sacking the manager, it looks like they're putting everything on the manager, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, look, before we you make good points, and we're going to go on to the Pochettino thing in a minute, but joining us live from Munich on his Nagelman hunt, firstly, Mr. Brady, how you getting on with looking for our new manager? Have you got him in your luggage yet?
The 750 Nagelsmans in the phone book. It's going to take a while. Tell me about it.
So
sorry
listen,
about this.
No, your grand sent you the link to come on, Philip.
You did, but it told me in my phone that it was on at 5 o'clock. But that was German time, not Irish time. That's why I'm so late. So anyway, we're an hour ahead of you here. So
yeah. Anyway, Harry Kane. I did send you the latest.
Yeah, I
news
saw that.
this morning. What's your view on it, very quickly?
I'd be disappointed, but not surprised.
Yeah,
but it's what the answer is going to be. Is what's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, that's true. That's
very interesting.
Very, very true.
What do you guys reckon? I haven't missed the chat there. What do you reckon? What's the consensus? Will he go? Will he be let go?
We're sort of on the consensus that if Real Madrid come calling, he'll go.
Yeah.
So
okay.
That's sort of what it is.
My consensus is, Philip, that we shouldn't hold a player hostage. If he wants to leave that much, he puts a request in, then we should let him go. You can't hold a player hostage. It's not a very good, healthy relationship, is it?
No,
we held him hostage 2 years ago.
Yeah, but you keep Romero hostage in your house, so do you let him go?
Listen, he likes it. Don't worry.
So you can't have it 2 ways, Mia, okay? You can't have it both ways.
Listen, Romero is not in hostage in my house. Everybody, before anyone says anything, it's a joke.
Dave's about to...
Until you hear him clawing at the door behind her.
Anyway,
dear.
a big up to Moondog for the super chat, and he says, "I don't want Rodgers or Potter." So there you go. But big up Moondog. Anyone want to say anything to Moondog, guys?
No,
Yes, I don't
same
want
here,
either.
Same here.
But the thing is, if I had the choice, you know who I'd pick. So
Yeah.
For me, I think the club are making a rod off their own back, though, Dermo, if they're hiring either, to be honest. I don't think either will get the unanimous fan base behind them. I think Slot was the one where a lot of people initially might have been angry, but when they actually looked into more about Slot, they were sort of on board. Everyone already knows what a Rodgers is, what a Potter is. So there's nothing really to learn. And I just find a lot of the fan base will find it very, very underwhelming if either of them were appointed.
Well, listen, big up Moondog. And listen, if you want to be like Moondog, please do. It does help the channel. The chat is absolutely heaving. So please all get your super chats in. Pick up your memberships as well on the way out. It does help us grow. And as we give you all the latest on this summer transfer window. Guys, there was a question here. I will get some more comments up in a minute. This from PEM, which I start. And this one I'd go with you, Dave. More realistic replacement for Kane would be Abrahams or Ivan Toney, though I'm concerned about his gambling issues, which hopefully will be served. Dave, I do that, and then I go to Mia, then you, Philip. What do you reckon? Abrahams or Toney?
Outside of Haaland and Harry Kane, Ivan Toney has 20 goals this season in a Brentford team. The only problem is, though, Dermo, and look, I'm not saying people can't change and stuff like that, but you're always, gambling is a different ball game altogether. Over here in Ireland, you know what it's like with the gambling scene over here. People get sucked into it very, very easy. Especially when there's not a lot to do. And in Ivan Toney's case, he was betting on his own team. He's betting on his own games that he was playing in and stuff like that. And for me, he's banned for 8 months. So anyway, there's been no one looking at him till at least January or the summer. But then you're always going to have that around him. What do you do in the middle of a season? You didn't know Ivan Toney's gambling. Next thing it comes out and he's banned again. And that stigma is always going to be attached to him. So for me, I'm at the point now where I would stay away from Ivan Toney. If anyone remembers, I actually mentioned this guy when we played Brentford in the semi-finals of the Cup under Jose Mourinho. I mentioned it before that, and people were laughing at me, this, that, and the other. But right now, with Ivan Toney and the gambling around him, I would stay away from him. I think it's too much of a risk if you're going to put all your eggs in his basket. Tammy Abraham, again, I think he's a bit overrated, if you want me to be brutally honest. Don't get me wrong. I know he left Chelsea. He's gone on to do well at Roma and stuff like that, but he's not the answer we need in the Premier League. You don't go from Harry Kane to Tammy Abraham. I'm sorry, that's a crime.
No.
Yeah.
Well, look, we've got a good one with Sean E.J. Daniel. He says, good morning. Gleesner for 2 years. Fair enough. We've got Harry Rogers, big up. He says, welcome. He says, which of you young players do you see potentially moving to the first team next season? We'll get to that in a minute. We've got Darren Kilbane. It says, yeah, fair enough. Big up, Darren. Nice to see you in the chat. We've got a lot of new people. We've got Kev Williams in, David Clark's in, Peter Rams in. We've got Lynn Simpson. She says, Mia, I don't agree with you. The manager has been blamed at Spurs on all counts, but they coached them. They surely, once they cross the white line, they have to try and put their coaching into a winning game. What do you say to Lynn? And listen, there's 56 in the house. Hit that like button, hit that subscription button, and also do the same on Mia's channel as well. This is a joint stream. And do the same to Dave's channel as well. Get the lads up to 10K. That is our mission before the start of next season. We want Mr. Harris and Miss Kanicki up to 10K on their channel. But do it on ours.
Did you call it Miss Kanicki? I'm going to tell him.
No, I said Mr.
I'm telling him.
I did say Mr.
I'm going to text him.
Okay, text him then. No problem. Yeah, but do it on all the channels, but do it here first and then spread your love around. Mia, what do you say to Lynn Simpson here?
I did say that it's the players as well. Obviously, the players have to take the responsibility once they cross that line. But the way that we play, and when there's something going wrong, the manager has the ability to try and change it and adjust things if they can see what their tactical nous is like, to be able to see what's going wrong. So then again, it's still down to the manager partly. So yeah, it's a bit of everybody, like I said.
Yeah. We've got Neil Shafton, big up Neil. He said, regardless of who he's betting, it becomes an issue when the guy keeps racking up debts, which then brings in less than noble characters who start to ask the guy to do things to pay off their accounts. He makes a very good point here.
It's happened in football before.
Yeah.
When you listen, especially in the era that I grew up watching, it was rife. They used to gamble 30,000-40,000 in the back of buses, traveling to games and stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, like it's a bigger issue. You know me, when I'm sad at the evenings, I just listen to ex-pros on long podcasts talking about their career and stuff like that. And, a lot of them from that era come out and talk about the gambling, talking about unsavory characters coming to the training ground, waiting outside the training ground, going to these players' homes, which then affects their performances on the football pitch and stuff like that. And with Ivan Toney, it gives you the potential for that to happen.
Right. The Harry Kane thing is, I had it on good authority that he is going to meet with Daniel Levy on Wednesday. Just let me get it up for you. Yeah, I've been told that Harry Kane will have a meeting with his agent and Daniel Levy this Wednesday, where he may officially request to leave Tottenham Hotspur. So, Philip, can you take over? I just need to take a phone call. We're back in 2 minutes.
Yeah. I was just coming in on the back of this now. I probably missed the gist of most of the chat on this, but I think this is a carry on from 2 years ago when Man City were looking for him, and he said there was a gentleman's agreement, which I presume will still be in force. So if this meeting is true, I think it's going to be very hard to hold on to him, David. No, to be honest. Unless Daniel Levy can spring a surprise and tell him who the new manager is going to be, and maybe that might change his thinking.
I think it definitely makes sense that they're going to have a meeting this week because they're going to break up shortly and the Spurs players will be sent on their holidays. Now I know Kane's got international games, so he'll probably delay actually going away till after then. But there'll be a lot of discussions taking place this week on players that will be told there's no future here for them, players that will be told they want to keep, and also deciding Harry Kane's future. Look, you take Harry Kane's words yesterday after the game, the interview, never came out and said, I want to stay, never came. He sort of addressed room and said that's always going to happen. Yeah. But he never gave us assurances that he wants to stay, never really gave us his plan on what he wants to do in his future, which indicates to me that he's leaving it open to see what comes in, and he'll take it from there.
But do you not think that's not very good, Dave? Because if you think about it, he could basically scupper our manager search. Like, I want him just to be decisive. Like, I feel like it's time that Harry Kane is decisive. If he really wants to leave, then he should put in that transfer request. Absolutely, go ahead and do it. But don't try and diver, because I feel like this divering is costing us as well when it comes to looking at managers, because we can't tell them what is going on with Harry Kane,
I hear you on that, but if you're Harry Kane as well, you're not going to commit unless you sort of know who that manager is either. Because if we end up getting in someone like Nuno, like we did before, he ain't sticking around for that. If we get in someone like a Nagelsmann, there's a chance that he might want to actually stay around. So I think, in Harry Kane's position as well, he's not going to commit unless he knows what the future plans for Tottenham are.
But something, this meeting is probably timed a bit early for me, if I think about it. The transfer window doesn't open until mid-June, correct? Isn't that correct? It doesn't open for another couple of weeks.
Yes, 1st of June, I think it opens, isn't it? Or 1st of July? 1st of June, I think.
Well, think about this. He's going away on England duty now, right? Why not wait until a lot can happen in 2 weeks? By the time the England games are finished, we may well have a new manager, and then he may well have an idea whether he wants to stay with us or not. So I'm just thinking this meeting might be a little bit premature, but I suppose we'll see if he comes back. If he comes out and says he's going to stay, hallelujah, it's great. But I just think that they should have delayed it a bit until things are a little bit clearer on the managerial front. It has to have a bearing on what he does.
You'd like to think behind the scenes, though, they sort of already know who they're going to bring in, though. You'd like to think that. I'm not saying
you would.
I'd like to think that when they're going into this meeting with Harry Kane, they can say, look, this is the guy coming in.
Yeah. But what
this is Tottenham, though, Dave.
Yeah, I know. I'm well aware. I'm well aware.
But what I saw today, a quote made today, I don't know who made it, but it's the most sensible thing I've seen in a long time. One of the pundits reckoned that Harry Kane this season had a better season than Haaland by scoring 30 goals in that Tottenham team.
Yeah.
Than Haaland had scoring 50 in the Man City team. And you've got to think that's right, because, Haaland, if you put Kane in that City team this season, he would have scored 60 goals. Never mind 30.
Yeah. And if you put Haaland in the Tottenham team, how many would he have got?
About 22.
Yeah, if that.
If that.
Listen, we are going to go back to the Harry Kane thing situation, and once I get more news, we'll bring it to you. Dave may be crying in the corner somewhere if he leaves. Ian may be jumping up and down with excitement. You know, who knows? Because we're not leaving them
It's
hostage
like
anymore.
Dave's got a bit of his hair. He's just going to clone him so that he
Yeah,
can
I
lock him
know.
up in the basement.
Yeah, so that's what.
I've already got one.
What, hair or a basement?
A clone.
Harry Kane, a clone.
Okay, a clone. That's good.
Yeah.
Listen, let's go on with a bit of the other news, guys. It's been announced Pochettino has officially been named new Chelsea manager as ex-Spurs boss seals a return to the Premier League, which got me thinking about previous Tottenham Chelsea managers and how did their records sort of tally up. So I've done a bit of digging and I found this. I've actually got it all done. So here we go. Managers to lead both Chelsea and Tottenham have fared. Now, this is Glenn Hoddle. Now, Dave, you go first on Glenn Hoddle. And then Mia, you go on AVB. And then Philip, you go on Mourinho. And then we all talk about Conte because Conte was the latest manager. So here we go. Dave, we've got Glenn Hoddle, Chelsea from 93 to 96. He had the win percentage of 33.7%. Then he came back home to Tottenham, 201 to 203, took over from George Graham, Levy's first appointment as manager, and had a 38.38% winners. Got Chelsea, I think, to an FA Cup final in 94, got us to a League Cup final in 2002. Glenn Hoddle, what do you reckon, Dave? What do you think of his time at Tottenham? And does it tarnish him being a legend as him managing Chelsea?
No, it doesn't. Look, you got to understand, once these footballers sort of finishing their playing days and stuff like that, Dermo, if the club ain't going to offer them a full-time position, they've got to go and earn money outside of that. They have to, especially back then, because the money was nowhere near as good as it was now. So, Look, for me, I have no problem with it. Even with this Pochettino thing, I see a lot of people angry about it. But if the club haven't contacted him, what do you want him to do? Put his whole career on hold for Tottenham Hotspur? Never going to happen. These guys also have aim and goals in their careers that they want to achieve. The time he took over at Chelsea were nowhere near as good as they were now as they were back then. Nowhere near it. But look, his time at Tottenham, he got Robbie Keane to the club. He loved Robbie Keane. And, look, it could have been better, but it is what it is. It's where Tottenham were back then.
But had a good win percentage. Now, we've got AVB for you, Mia. Chelsea, one season at Chelsea, one season at Tottenham. He's not really rememberable, is he, to be honest?
No, the only thing I remember about him is that he wasn't bad looking. That's probably as far as I go with AVB. He was a bit of a funny character, wasn't he, old AVB? Let's be honest. Yeah, he did do his win percentage, 55% for us and 47.5% for them. So yeah, it weren't exactly spectacular on either, really. Not because it was just one season. So yeah, man, not really a season we want to remember, to be honest.
Really. Mr. Brady, we've got Jose Mourinho for you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, twice at Chelsea, twice Premier League champion, won everything at Chelsea, came to us, and we sacked him 6 days before Cup final.
Yeah.
I mean,
his record at Chelsea is very, very good. Excellent, in fact. He's come out publicly in the last week and said that Tottenham are the only club he can't really identify with anymore because we sacked him 5 days before Cup final. So, I mean, 51% is not bad. Yeah, but the football he played wasn't great. I mean, it was dour.
Let me ask you a question on that, Philip. If he was to play on the front attacking football with the squad he had, do you think the win percentage would have been higher or lower?
Probably would have, hindsight, it's easy to ask that question, but you'd hope it would be. But I think he didn't do himself any favors by some of the things he said during his tenure, plus the Amazon documentary. A few things said, and that didn't go down well in the boardroom either, So, but to sack him 5 days for a cup final is completely inexcusable. I just do not know where that came from, because I think we probably would have won that game.
Oh yeah,
we nearly won it as it was without him, under Ryan Mason. So but he's no fond memories of Tottenham at all, and will never do us any favours.
Yeah, and then of course Mr. Conte, twice at Chelsea, once at us. Dave, I'll start with you. Look, we all had great hopes when Antonio came in. It ended in tears. Look, we are where we are now. But was his words after Southampton bearing fruit now at the end of the season?
His words, 100%. You know, you even take yesterday and the last few weeks as prime example. Last few weeks, European football on offer, can't win a game. As soon as you're outside of European football and there's no pressure, you go and beat Leeds. You know, when he said these players don't like or don't want to play under pressure, he's been absolutely spot on. Just look at their cup records. When there's a bit of pressure on, we get knocked out. You look at you know, how the season ended compared to the last game of the season. No pressure whatsoever. We start winning. You even look when we sat Jose Mourinho. You know, we were top of the league for a while. The pressure starts building. People start talking about you. They can't handle it. You sat Jose Mourinho, bring in Mason. The boys pick it up till the end of the season. Why?
Yeah.
Because there's no pressure on them. There's no expectations on them. So his words are absolutely spot on. And I think, look, I don't think his words were a problem to fans. I think a lot of fans actually resonated with it. I think a lot of fans over the course of the last 4 years have probably stressed or expressed them opinions. However, as a manager, you can't come out and do it in the style that he done it.
No.
He was looking to be sacked, and that's it at the end of the day. But his words were right. Now it's how the club take them words. Do they look at them, say, okay, he's right, and start ironing out the problems? Or do they just go, you're wrong, and continue on to do the same old shit? At some stage, you've got to listen to people that are telling you things. Pochettino had things to say about the board.
Yeah.
You know, Jose Mourinho had a lot to say about these players. Conte had a lot to say about these players. So when are people in a position that can actually do something about it, going to start listening? You know, like, regardless whether people like their style of football, I think they're a good fit for Tottenham. You've got Jose Mourinho, one of the most decorated managers in the game. You've got Conte, he's also won a lot in his career. And at some stage, you have to listen to what people who know how to win are telling you.
Yeah, that's so true. And look, we've had some really good managers since Poch left. Conte, Mourinho, guys. I'll start with you on this, Mia. We've had winning managers, where managers that have won everywhere they've gone. Mourinho's about to do a back-to-back European double. Conference League this season, Europa League this season, if they beat Seville. I think Mr. Philip Brady doesn't want Mourinho to win. I think he said it yesterday. He hopes Seville win that final.
I do, yeah. I do.
Right.
But
because Brian Hill and Eric Lamela. Simple. That's the only reason.
yeah, that's right. But do you think that we have failed them, Mia, more than they have failed us?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I think with Jose, I think that people were just very fed up after that West Ham game. I think people just got really, really fed up with the way that he played. I think that it was just becoming untenable. And I think that he was let down in some ways with the players. But I do feel like that some of his ways weren't very good, if that makes sense, in that the way that he behaved. And it's sort of the same with Conte. Conte started throwing little tantrums in, like saying little things in press conferences. If he was that unhappy, he should just walked away, but he didn't want to because he wanted the money. And then he just threw all his toys out of the pram, which wasn't acceptable. He didn't really blame himself. He just put all the blame on everybody else, which again, it doesn't look very good. So I think it's probably, we let them down quite a bit, but I think they also let us down a little bit too.
Same question to you, lads, as well. Dave, do you want to take it first, Philip?
No, go on, Dave first.
Let Philip go first.
Go on, Philip.
I think when Conte came in, we thought, this is it. This is the moment we've been waiting for. This is the Messiah has arrived to save us and bring us trophies. And the problem is, okay, this time last year we were on a high. We just pipped Arsenal to the Champions League. Everything was going rosy. But the downhill started early this season with the performances we're putting in. And to be honest with you, by the time Conte left, I was glad he was gone. I was praying for him to go because it was just stifling our football. Okay, I know it's not his fault. He was landed with the players he was landed with, you know. And what he said was, a lot of the time, especially after Southampton, was quite accurate. I mean, we have to believe it. He was right. Every word he said, every criticism he made was absolutely spot on. But he paid the price for that. But I think he wanted to pay the price. Yeah. I think he'd had enough. He'd seen he couldn't do anything with that bunch of players, so he wanted out before his reputation was completely shot.
I would go, and in my opinion, I think the club have failed the managers. And just hear me out why. I think when you look at what Mason has come out and said recently, and when you come out and look at what Kane has said recently, they keep referring back to Pochettino, right? They keep referring back to the standards and the culture and everything outside the club then. Now, what sort of club do we want to be? What sort of culture? Jose Mourinho and Nuno and Conte have worked at nearly everywhere else they've been, because them clubs have historically appointed big-name managers, win-now managers who rule the roost, and the club do not go against that. They back them and they get rid of players and bring players in because financially they're able to do that. But we're bringing them into Tottenham, you know, we're asking them to sort of work on Pochettino's culture, which is being really friendly with the players, this, that, and the other, and they're not them sort of guys. So it's like, internally, what culture do you want? Do you want what Pochettino brought here, or do you want to change the culture to win now and be in a rootless culture? And that's been, I think, one of the biggest problems you've got. You're asking guys who have a different culture and a different way of doing things to come in and work with guys who want the Pochettino culture.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Neil Shafton put it, Tottenham are like stuff in your fridge. You can only use the leftovers to make dinners. So this is what their managers have been asked to do. The food they have available is starting to rot. And that is the question, isn't it, guys?
Fair point.
We've had players for the last 4 years that haven't been good enough. We've got Dyer this season, Liverpool, Newcastle, where he made mistakes. Where we've had players that are not good enough, players that have not cared enough. So where do we go from here, Dave? I mean, we could all ask for a clear out, but who's going to buy these players? Do you go down the route of ripping up contracts, or do you go down the route of, right, if you're going to stay here, you're just going to play in the reserves, and that's it. You're not going nowhere near the top first team.
I mean, there's a couple of things you can do, Darmo. You can any player you don't want, you can say to them, look, there's no plans for you beyond this season. You're going to be training with the under-21s all summer long. You're not going on pre-season tour. Make sure your agent finds you a move. And that then, if clubs do come in, they're out, straight out the door. There's none of this, nah, don't fancy it, not going. No, you're not meeting the wages I'm on at Tottenham, I'm not going. No, that these clubs can't do that. Or you start ripping up contracts. For me, I think there are certain players' contracts that deserve to be ripped up. I really do believe that. But look, Darmo, I think we're at a point now where I don't care where the board finds the money from. And I've been one of these where I've been reasonable with it. I have been reasonable with it down the years, where it's like we can't do everything in one window. But we're at a point right now where it's so toxic in and around the club. And you're not talking just about the fan base. You're talking about at board level, in the squad. You know, reports coming out today. I listened to a great podcast there this morning. Someone put me onto it. And they're talking about internally the staff, how toxic it is there with the staff and everything else. And it's sort of like, you know, you've got to get all that sorted out. All of that has to be sorted out. You have to create a new environment at Tottenham Hotspur. You have to get rid of players that have just proven they're not good enough, whether that be... my biggest problem with Dyer and the Davies and Sanchez, people like that, they're not technically good enough for the Premier League anymore. The Premier League has evolved. You need technical positions throughout every position, technical players throughout every position. And we don't have that. And for me, you've got to change that. You've got to get these players gone at all costs, whether that means ripping up the contracts or alienating them. I do not care. Get them gone at all costs so we can move forward into a new era.
Well, I've got a bit of news here, and it's a bit of breaking news. I've been given to me. Now, that's why I've been on and off, Dave, so I haven't been listening to everything you say. But this is coming from Bayern Munich. This is coming from Germany. This could affect Tottenham, right? I've been told in Germany was sharing a meeting this morning between all the officials. There was a heated argument in front of everybody between Bayern officials. That includes the director of football, head of recruitment, and Thomas Tuchel. Now, we're not too bothered about Thomas Tuchel, but we are bothered about the director of football and Nagelsmann, who had him there when he was manager, and the head of recruitment. Now, guys, this is just coming to me now. I've had to leave some... Can I just say very quickly? Yeah, can I just say very quickly? I've had to leave some stuff out because I've been asked to. But once more is confirmed, I can bring in the whole thing that I've got. But this is what I'm getting now. Philip, you want to say something on this very quickly, and then I go to Dave and then me.
Just something quickly about Tuchel. There is a rumor here in Germany that Tuchel is going to get sacked tonight. So that would tie up with what you were saying there.
Yeah. Now, Dave, what do you reckon? Director of football, head of recruitment, massive argument. Could that director of football was with Nagelsmann at Bayern Munich. Could that be what Levy's been waiting for? Get the two in at one go?
Look, Nagelsmann the reports have already been put out there that Nagelsmann won't sign without knowing who the director of football is. And, I don't blame him. He's got to know that this guy shares his values and his outlook on football so that he can bring in the players that match his system. And that's the sign of the times where we're at. If our recruitment was good over the years, you would be in a position now where you could get managers to come in here knowing that our recruitment is good. They can trust it. But right now, a lot of managers, unless they're a manager taking a massive step up rather than, I would argue, a step across, which is what maybe Nagelsmann is doing, a step across or a little bit of a step down, you're in this position. So for me, I don't think you'll see any more Nagelsmann until you see a director of football.
Yeah,
and,
but
are the club is the reason why we haven't appointed a manager because they're holding out on a director of football? I'm not so sure. I don't really know what's going on right now.
We broke this on Saturday, you, me, and Mia, Philip. I mean, do you want to quickly say, because I want to bring Mia on?
Just that they sacked Oliver Kahn and Salihamidzic at the weekend after the game. So there's something rotten in the state of Denmark there in the boardroom at the moment.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, they just have to win the Bundesliga for the 8th time running, and they're sacking everybody in sight. There's something not right there. So, watch this space. But the Nagelsmann thing could be interesting if his DOF is free to come with him now.
The other thing someone else said is Terry White here said that they can rehire Nagelsmann with a new leadership team. Could that be a possibility? Yeah. That's something else that we probably wouldn't want to think of, but I think it could happen. They could have thought we made a massive mistake.
Yeah,
it's true.
On that, I will say is though, when the statement Bayern put out when they sacked Nagelsmann was very, very interesting. They never had a problem with his style of football or that. What they had a problem with is he didn't get on with the players in that Bayern squad. That was the big problem there, and the reason why that happened is because he was having an affair with the woman that was reporting for Bayern Munich at the time. So there were stories being linked to her and it was being put in the papers. So that's what broke the trust between squad and management. Are they going to bring him back in knowing that went on in the first place? I'm not quite so sure on that. It's a big risk.
They won't.
No, they won't.
No,
they won't.
No.
Listen, there's 89 or 90 of you watching.
Come on. Let's get it to 100. Over 100 views. Get more people in here. Share that.
Please hit the like button. This is mental for us. I mean, we're so pleased. So everyone hit the like button, hit the subscription button, and hit the as well on Mia's channel, on Dave's as well. But please keep hitting that subscription button. Guys, I've got a few comments here. This one here is for you, Mia. A question says, you see Mia is now contradicting herself, which I don't think she is, but we'll let her defend herself. She can defend herself, believe me. Herself. Also, these elite managers have been in winning teams, but surely Levy is like Bowley, interferes with managers who knows football when he is clueless.
I don't know what point you're saying that I contradict myself, but I think I'm intelligent enough not to do so because I actually think about my answers and my comments. So I would like to challenge you on that matter. And yeah, of course, Levy does somewhat micromanage, but I don't think he's a Todd Bowley because Todd Bowley has gone. He's just bonkers what he does at Chelsea. Like what he did at Chelsea was mad. Going online, talking to fans, not realising how he might be perceived, buying every player like a kid at a candy shop. I think that he's very, very unprofessional. But with Levy, yes, does he micromanage? Absolutely. And is he wrong to do that? 100% he's wrong to do that.
But big up Max Missy says, hey, big up Spurs fans from United, lad. Big up Max. Welcome to the channel. Also, Colin, FTN Colin was in as well. See him in there. We've got Fraz, 3-1 Spurs, big up panel. We've got Terry White. Who else is coming? We've got 24Z, big up 24Z. We've got Daniel Field, big up Daniel Field. Who else? We've got JJ, a new person in, big up JJ. Hit that subscription button on the way out. We've got the disabled team. It says, hi, Mia, Phil, Dermot, and Mr. Harris. Hope you're all well. Big up the disabled team. Hope you're well. And also, we've got Sean, EJ, Daniel. It says, the Zabbies like Slot will want to move quickly as they are ambitious based on previous behaviour. Glazner and Mason, with a minimal investment and maximum motivation, can secure Champions League and domestic trophies. Who wants to take this? Who wants to go first in this one? I don't think you do it with Mason, by the way. I think with Mason, that's the far fetched, but that's my own point.
No, I think that I think it's going to take us a while to get into that Champions League again and to get a trophy. And I don't know if Glasner and Mason are the guys to do it. To be honest, I'm just saying.
Yeah. Philip, I know you say you have to go soon. So what's your plan to find Nagelsmann, and what's now? I've given you a mission. You have to succeed this mission now. So what's your plan?
I'm going around with a board on me. Does anyone know where Julian Nagelsmann lives? No. I think I'm going to keep my ear to the ground here because most people speak English out here, and Bayern Munich are a religion in Munich, as you can probably guess. So there are things been going on. I'll be into their shop tomorrow. It was closed today. It was actually a bank holiday here today, so I'll be in their shop tomorrow and see what I can find out.
Philip, just stand up on the roof of the hotel with binoculars. Nagelsmann is known for going around on his electric skateboard.
Oh, is it? Okay, right. Yeah. Okay, right. Yeah. And just to finish off, this past one comment about I heard about the Leeds match yesterday. Do you know Leeds signed some forward in January for 36 million? He played one game. He threw his shirt into the crowd after the match last night, and the crowd threw it back at him.
Wow.
Well, listen, Philip. We'll hopefully hear from you tomorrow and let you know how you're getting on. And
yeah, Dave, I'll try and get on later on. I possibly won't though because we're up since 2 a.m. this morning and it's getting pretty, tiring at the minute.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. If I see you, I see you. If not, I'll see you next week.
Oh, yeah. And listen, great to see you on. And Mia, great to see you as well. And, well, not to see you, to hear you. And
Dermot, do me a favor, though, Philip. If it's raining in Munich, when you bring it back with you, it's too fucking warm over here, man. I'm dying.
Oh, it's lovely. It's beautiful here. It's beautiful here. It's really warm.
I tell you, I walked out this morning and I tell you one thing, it's 24 degrees or something like that over here.
Yeah, it's the same here. It's the same here. But listen, lads, enjoy the rest of the show, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you later, Philip.
Good luck in your mission, Philip.
Thank you very much. I'll bring him back.
Dermo, I already have to bounce that as well.
Yeah,
I have to get my podcast ready for the morning and get the
I know you do. Well, listen, Dave, do you want to give I have got your link there, so if you want to, I'll find your link. Do you want to stick your link in the chat for me and I'll bring it up, and then if you can.
Yeah. Look, I just want to say, I'm over at the Irish HOTSPUR. Feel free to get over there, hit the subscribe button if you like what I have to say. But most importantly, I'm big fans of Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Big fans of Spurs between the lines as well. So if you could, please support these amazing people. Smash the like button, smash the subscribe button. And also, don't be afraid to get in super chats and help them out. It's out here, no one has big backers behind us. We all put a lot of money into the equipment and everything else and a lot of time into what we do. And we do rely off the backing of the public and stuff like that. So if you can, help these great channels out. So make sure you subscribe to THFC Till I Die and Spurs Between the Lines. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it. Nice way to spend an hour.
Yeah, big up, Dave. And thank you so much. And I shall see you later, sir.
Yeah, I'll see you hopefully later on.
Yeah, see you later. Everyone get over to Dave. Yeah, see you later, Davey. Thank you so much for coming on, brother. See you later. Right, Mia. It's just us now for the last bit of news here. There we go. Back to a twosome again. We've had a threesome and a foursome. Now we're back to a twosome.
Right, calm yourself down with what you're saying now. We're on the internet, come on.
You know what we're like, Mia. Right, last bit of news, Mia, is Daniel Kubczynski's future at Spurs is in doubt after a disappointing season. The club will shell out 25 million to make a deal permanent. Do you think he will stay? Do you think we'll buy him?
Yes, and I hope so. I do think I think this season he's been played out of season. He's not been in good form, but nobody really has. He's had injuries. I'd like to see him. I think he's got potential, and he's young as well. He's a young, he's a young player. With the right manager, I think he could do. I think he could do well.
Yeah, I think so too, Mia. We've got Danny Film saying, big up. It says, Jay says, appreciate the response. Think Gleesner is solid, sensible. We need some stability now. Do you know what? I agree with him, Mia. We do need stability, don't we, really?
Yeah, no, I do agree.
Yeah. Daniel Phil, big up Dermot and all. We've got Matt's laughing, Jeffrey laughing, Daniel saying cheeky, and then Kulu can go and get Barnes off Leicester. See, now there's a player I like. Barnes, Harvey Barnes. I think he's a good little player.
I do, but do I like him more than Kulu? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Depends who you find cute, who you find who you find cute, Mia, to be fair, as you've been going on.
Listen, don't slander my name. I know my stuff about football. I don't just go by what they look like. And I'm really
I
not
know.
into gingers, so Kulu, I still like him despite that.
Right. The last bit of here,
I
Mia,
joke.
is top.
All gingers are fantastic. Before
Yeah,
anyone gets
yeah.
onto me, it was a joke.
Yeah. Tottenham Europa Conference League permutations explained in Man City win. Now, with Spurs finishing eighth and Man City could win the Champions League, there was rumours going around that we could get into the Conference League. But this has now changed. And there's a new rule that was brought in this season. It means that the spot is instead is given to the highest ranked national league in UEFA, in the UEFA sort of band. And that is Ukraine, Mia. So without an automatic group stage spot, this means no extra position that is then impacted outside of that, and therefore nothing can change for Tottenham. I know you spoke about this morning, Mia. Do you want to just get your quick views on this?
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is. I'd like to, Cherry White says, I'd like to see Jack Harrison. I would too. Dave said, how Harvey Burns have had the worst season in his career at Leicester City. I think that's not hard. Don Donsak is going to get that spot, Mia, if Man City win the Premier League.
Okay.
And then Wayne Bonner said, is Dermot starting a special show with the threesome and the foursome chat? Is there a poll involved? Oh, very funny. Very bloody funny. Right.
Yeah.
Mia, we're going to end off there with Newsbeat today. It's been an absolute blast. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for everyone that's came in and liked and subscribed. We've had massive numbers again, so thank you so much. Mia, where can people find you, dear?
Spurs Between the Lines. If you don't know, then give your head a wobble. I'm getting really close to my 400 now. So if you haven't subscribed, I'd really appreciate you subscribing. On Wednesday, I'm actually going to do a Patreon live. So if you're a Patreon member, I will be putting the link in there so you can come and join me. So if you want to be a Patreon member and come and join me, you can do so. The link will be in the description.
Mm-hmm.
So please come and do that, because it's nice to have more of you on to have your opinions. And obviously the Patreon does really help me out, but only do it if you can afford it. Don't do it otherwise. I don't want nobody to do anything they can't afford. But yeah, if you want to come on Wednesday, then go and join my Patreon.
Yeah. We will be back tomorrow with Newsbeat again. Look, thank you so much for everyone. It's been mad again in the chat. It's been mad again, what numbers again today. So thank you. So please hit that subscription button, hit that like button on the way out, and please grab your memberships. $2.99. It does help us grow, as Dave said, and also it does help us get to new equipment and new stuff. We've got Brian Daigle, big up Brian. It says we want Levy out. Say we won't Levy out. Daniel Levy, get out of our club. This is all down to you, Levy. Cullen and Nick, time's up, Levy out. So big up Brian. We've got Derek Hutchinson laughing at, and then we just got a few more. Sean and Jeffrey saying thanks for the stream. David's asking you, Mayor, has your Romero blow up doll let you down yet?
I don't. I have the real thing. I don't need no blow up doll.
And Terry White saying goodbye. Well, listen, Darren actually killed Bain, saying Kulu has been rubbish. Barnes is way better player. Barnes hasn't been as bad as you say. So that's something we're going to have to look at. But we're back tomorrow at 4:00 with Newsbeat. Myself, Mia, and I think Ellie's going to join us, Queen Ellie. Philip will join us from Munich with all the latest news. If anything comes up with the manager news or anything comes up with the Harry Kane news, we will break it here first. We'll be straight on the air like we were with the slot news. We were straight on the air. We get everything here first. But everyone, take care of yourself. Enjoy the sunshine, whatever you're doing. Mia, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure again sharing the stream with you. Whatever you do, look after yourselves, but always remember, come on, you Spurs.
In the fans we trust.